So, my friend, I want to ask you, have you been listening to some of my podcasts for a while and identified for yourself all the areas that you feel your business could be better in? Maybe you just are so busy you haven't yet mastered the working as much as you like bit. Or maybe you're just not bringing in the money, like you're struggling with the income, or it's just not enough. Well, it's time for us to have a conversation. In the show notes, there is a link to my evolution call. If you're a dance boss and you are ready to take action, let's have a chat and let's see where I can take you. Hello and welcome, lovelies, to the Ultimate Dance Business Podcast. My name is Deborah Laws, the dance business expert. My passion is to help you turn your passion into profit while guiding you to work less and earn more. I'm super excited to share interviews with you that I know will inspire and motivate you in your schools, as well as my solo shows where I shall be sharing some great tips and strategies. So if you love the show, please do remember to review, subscribe, and share it with your fellow dance boss friends. So let's get stuck into the business of dance. Such a great time hanging out today, but maybe you are going to be somebody that might find this episode a little bit prickly. Because we're going to be talking about the difference between being nice and being in control of your business. So this is very much for those of you that count yourselves as people pleasers, those people that, like myself, don't like confrontation, will do anything to avoid confrontation, even if it means that we miss out or we suffer, or the empaths amongst us that just find that their feelings and emotions steer their decisions rather than their business head and the logic. So if this sounds like it could be you, this podcast could be very interesting. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that if you are one of those nice people, one of those kind, nice people that are out there trying to run your dance school, although this is going to be a little bit painful to hear, this could be one of, if not the reason that your dance studio, performing arts school isn't growing. And I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples of where this could be happening. So, for example, do you find that you have a lot of late payments and you're constantly having to chase people up, which is one of the things you hate doing more than anything else because you're a people pleaser. You don't want to have to ask somebody for the 10th time to pay their fees. Or maybe, you offer people the opportunity to make up classes when they've missed them, and that's not really what you wanted to be offering, but you do it to avoid those tricky conversations. Or perhaps you just avoid tricky conversations, full stop. That things are happening and going on in your school that you're not all that happy with, but you avoid dealing with them. When you are being nice, what happens is you become overly flexible. And what this means is that when you are incredibly flexible, whilst you might see that as trying to keep all your customers happy all of the time or doing the best you can at that, how it comes across to your customers and your students, and in fact your team as well, if you have one, is that they're very unclear on what your expectations are. Like, does she really want us to do this or does she want us to do that? She's not very clear because she's just trying to be nice and keep everybody happy. So they don't really know and understand what it is that you want from them. And therefore, it kind of opens the doors for them to be able to behave and act any way they like because there's no clear message coming from the business owner. And what happens is you go from wanting to be liked to having a real lack of respect. Your teachers don't respect you as much as you'd like. Your parents, your customers certainly don't respect you. And when they don't respect you, they start to do the thing that we all know we suffer from, which is people pushing boundaries. And we just see it as those people are pushing my boundaries and they shouldn't be doing that. It's unfair. Well, they're going to, because you're not leading clearly what is allowed and what isn't allowed, what's acceptable behavior and what isn't, what means you desire to be respected against you just want people to like you. Saying yes when really you mean no. And this is where the line gets very blurred between coming across your parents and your customers as your school being like a little community, youth clubby type, volunteer type organization to a highly professional service with fully qualified, fully trained, high excellent service. Like, if we're not careful, when we are too nice, too people pleasery, don't think that's the word, Deborah, but never mind. It puts us in the bracket of brownies and youth clubs and after school clubs. It doesn't put us in the bracket of beautiful dance and performing arts schools with high standards and excellence. And that literally, and I'm so sorry again if this stings a little bit, but that literally could be down to just you and the way that you are running your school, with your nice being more important than business, being professionally nice. You see, there's a difference. You can be an amazing businesswoman that commands respect, has authority, and have beautiful leadership and still be really nice. And still do it with love, and still do it in a nurturing way, and still do it with kindness. But you're just a little bit firmer on what you want for your school. And you're not afraid to hold everybody accountable to that. So, what can happen if we're being too nice? Well, we can end up losing revenue, literally losing money because people are getting away with not paying. How many of us, and I'm included here, old Deborah, had parents that didn't pay for months. Like, you got yourself in a really sticky situation that with someone that owed you hundreds of pounds. And then before you had a chance to finally deal with that and have what is now a really tricky conversation instead of just a slightly tricky conversation, they leave. Well, of course they're going to leave. They owe you £900. And then you don't hear from them. They ghost you. And then you're in an even more horrible situation because now you've got to go down a whole debt collector's route, which you really didn't want to do. Can you see how if we had addressed this right from the start with firm, clear, loving boundaries, we would never even find ourselves in these situations that are really horrible and really uncomfortable? So sometimes, as I said earlier, I am a massive non-confrontational person. I am a people pleaser. So this podcast is about myself as much as anyone else. But, there are times in the past where I've missed out on a lot of money because I've been too nice. Or maybe you are undercharging in the first instance because you are trying to keep your parents happy. You are assuming that they won't be able to afford it if your fees are any more. Or maybe you're giving some things away for free. Maybe you've got a child that desperately needs a couple of extra private lessons leading up to the exam. And of course, your students, their results, how they progress is just more important than anything else. But rather than charging for those, even if the parents are going to have to, pull their purse strings a bit tighter and might struggle a little bit to find the money, you give them freebies instead. Well, of course, they're never going to turn around and say, no, that's fine. We'll find a way to pay it. They'll just go, great, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. And who misses out? Just you, my darling. Just you. It could be also that operationally, what happens when you are too nice in your business is that you are constantly firefighting. If it's not a problem with Mrs. Smith, it's a problem with Mr. Jones. If you're not dealing with a teacher that's not doing what she should be dealing with, you're dealing with problems with the caretaker. Like, when we are not firm and clear and constant, it's like you're walking around with a t-shirt, a flashing neon t-shirt that says, walk all over me, that's fine. And I'm just going to pause here for a second because I just want to check that you know all about my new software, Dance Business Solutions. And if you don't, then I would love to show it to you. You can book a demo where I will show you around the magic that I have created in Dance Business Solutions, and you can see just what it will do for your business. So from websites to selling events, to managing your customers, managing your inquiries, creating surveys, planning your social media, like it does a gazillion things. And they're all very exciting because I have pre-built most of it for you already using my wisdom and expertise as a dance business coach. So go to dancebusinesssolutions.com as soon as you finish listening to my podcast and click on book a demo. And I cannot wait for one of my team to show you around. I know that's a bit hard hitting, isn't it? But that is exactly what happens. And you're probably nodding away thinking, yeah, that's me. People do tend to do that a little bit. And why? It's because they don't have a structure from you. There is a lack of structure and a lack of confident leadership. And what happens is, on an emotional side for you, you can end up feeling really resentful to certain parents or students or teachers or admin. You can be really resentful to the business. You can start feeling burnt out because you're an emotional person. You are constantly in this emotional state of worrying, stressing, trying to keep everything and everyone around you happy. And this can lead to a real sense of frustration for you, a real sense of frustration and anxiety. So what can we do? What can we do? If you've listened to all of this so far and you thought, oh my gosh, Deborah, this is 100% me, or even 50% me, you're recognizing certain behaviors that I've mentioned today. Well, the first thing I want to say is all is not lost because we are all capable of change. We're all capable of involving ourselves and of shifting our own thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. So the first thing I would really love you to do is to think of this as I want you to reframe your thoughts. I am not going to need to learn to be more unkind because that's not me. I just need to be more clear. I don't need to learn to be more unkind. I just need to be more clear. And then with that sense of clarity, so this is what I tell people happens in my school. This is what I teach my team needs to happen in my school. This is what's in my terms and conditions. This is what I say when I speak to people. So when I am clear, I then have to set the big B. And the big B, of course, is the boundaries. The boundaries are like, here's my thing. This is how we do it in my school. And here's a great big white picket fence all the way around the outside of it. That means you can't break that down and change that rule. Like the boundary is there for you to know that this is non-negotiable. This is how it is. This is how I want it in my school, whether you like it or not. It's my school. It's my choice. It's my decision. And if you don't love what's inside that boundary, that's fine. There'll be another school that maybe doesn't have that boundary. You can go find that one instead. So we're trying to shift from the way that you speak in the language from things like, I hope this is okay, but I thought, to this is how we do things here. Now, this is how we do things here. It's not aggressive. It's not angry. It's not confrontational. It's not narky. It's not nasty. It's not any of those things. It's clear. This is how we do things here, rather than I hope this is okay. So what I would love for you to do, this little exercise that you could do if you wanted to, is decide what are your non-negotiables. Just sit and write down what are some of your rules. And I know most of these will probably be in your terms and conditions, but maybe you've got other ones that are not written. No, maybe you've got other ones that are more to do with behavior and your values and how people are when they walk into your building. Why don't you just sit and write those down? And I want you to think to yourself, how can I shift I'm really sorry, but I need to ask you to, and instead, this is how we do things here. I need you to do X for me. So decide what those non-negotiables are and then work out how you would go about them in a different way, in that clear way with boundaries and love. And this could be around things like payments, attendance, the way you communicate, notice periods, all that kind of thing. So one thing I'd love you to work out, one thing that you've been letting slide that you know you've got to tighten up on. And I want you to decide how you're going to do that this week. Are you going to send a little email and do a couple of social media posts or post it in your WhatsApp groups, however you communicate with your parents? Are you going to send out a message and say, from now on, any unpaid bills that are not paid by the start of the term will result in your child not being able to attend classes until they are paid. And during that period, their place is not secure and therefore it could be taken by somebody else. Maybe you're going to send that out. And then what do we need to do? We need to stick to that boundary. So the minute that happens, somebody doesn't pay, you need to be emailing them saying, I'm very sorry, we've not had your payment. So please be aware that you cannot attend classes this week. And whilst you're not attending classes, your class is available for somebody else to take. Like create a little email template, create a message that you can just copy and paste and stick with it. Because I tell you what, you only need to do it 2 or 3 times. People start to talk about it, and then you will never have to worry about late payments again. It really is as simple as that. So have a little think. What's one thing I could tighten up in? How am I going to go about it? Am I going to email people? Am I going to also add it into my terms and conditions? Do I need to do a quick training for my teachers, quick voice message? What's one thing you know you could change straight away, you could tighten up on that would make your life so much easier, that would stop you having to worry and people please around this thing, and that you can set firmly with a rule and a boundary? I'm going to tell you what, my love, once you've done this once, it becomes so much easier to then do the next one and the next one and the next one. For all those gorgeous dance school owners, performing arts teachers, music school owners, drama school owners, whoever you are listening, if you have totally seen yourself, no hiding here in this podcast, I hope that has helped, because it really will start to be a shift that makes your business a happier place for you to be in and a clearer, more obvious place for your parents to be into. Okay, my darling, take care. See you on our next podcast.